Good evening, everybody. So last night I took you through a little ritual of mine, a spontaneous ritual, and I brought up this morning about charging and discharging from the body, something that I'm really focusing on for this year to get me into my feet and to learn about my roots and my relationships and how I'm kind of showing up in life. But what is charge? So charge is how you react to the world. Stimulus from the outside comes to us in whatever experience life shows up as, and it creates a charge within our body. But what do you do with that charge? Well, this is the thing, right? Because as we grow up, we are told to hide our charge. Social acceptance sees us not being able to express ourselves properly. So charge can be suppressed in the body, it can be bound into our cells, and it becomes a habit. And when we are trying to create charge in the body, with the bioenergetic movement that I spoke about in my stories, we are creating charge with very simple movement that we use, but we push against a solid base. And this starts to create a tremble. And you've probably experienced this when you've been triggered by someone, a partner, or you're in the car and someone beeps at you, and you can feel that kind of cursing through your body. That's charge, right? So what do you do with it? Well, like I said, charge can become a habit, and it can be a positive habit or a negative habit. It all depends on how you express it. Now, if you are reactive, if you kind of dump your emotions on people, that's not so great. Then you could be on the flip side where you can numb out so much from life that you can't even feel your own body. So you look like you have no emotions whatsoever. So it's finding that balance, and this is what bioenergetic movement does. It brings charge into the body so you become aware of that part of your body and the energy that you're creating. Because what happens is when you bring charge into you, it kind of triggers old stuff. Because if you haven't expressed that charge, if you haven't expressed the situation that you've bound into your body, you just keep layering it up. And whenever something comes into your vicinity, your energy, you become triggered. And when something really minor happens and you just fly off the handle and you literally cannot keep it in, that is charge that you haven't dealt with, and it's just been suppressed, and you just can't take it anymore, and it just takes that one little thing. So, charge. A little very simple exercise right now is to think of something that creates charge within you. And there's two types of way of charging. One is, like I said earlier, about when an external stimulus, a life experience comes to you and you become charged by it. But you can also be charged by your own thoughts and emotions. And we've all, I speak for myself, when you're sitting there and you're kind of daydreaming and you think back to stuff and you start thinking, oh my God, how did that happen? Why did that happen? Why did I do that? Why did I let that happen? If I'd say la 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 la. So there's an internal charge that goes on inside, again, because we haven't acknowledged, addressed, and released that charge from our body. So thinking of a charge right now that perhaps you're currently experiencing, or it might be an old experience within you, and seeing, where do you feel that? Where do you feel that in your body? So if I go to, I'm just trying to think of one. Okay, just before Christmas, I got locked out of my house. And if I think of that, because I'm going to be honest with you, I did blame another person for it. That person wasn't even there. So when I think about it, I can feel it here. So you can see, right, instead of me getting emotional and blaming, like I said at the time, if I can bring myself into sensation, I can feel a collapse in here. Because if I think about it, at the time, I didn't have any power to do anything about it. I was pretty powerless. So there's a collapsing sensation here. So I can feel, what is it that needs? Could be a bit of a stretch. It could actually be, if I think about it, I need to come onto my feet. And if I push my feet down, interesting again that this is what I'm focusing on. It's all about the feet for me right now. Pushing down into my feet. I can feel the ground beneath me. I feel like I want to bounce a little bit. And I can feel that bounce going right into my core. You can feel these if you can hear these interesting sounds in the background, it's my wonderful mother-in-law cooking dinner for this evening. No, it's so I can feel this here. And funnily enough, this bouncing this feels good. Now, usually when you get a deep breath, it's a movement of energy and it's usually cleared. So if I just take a moment, yeah, that actually feels quite good. So can you see what I'm trying to do? Instead of me becoming an emotional and, oh my God, this is all your fault, I'm so angry right now, you've made me. I feel a sensation here. It feels collapsed, doesn't feel great. What do I need to do? I need to stand on my feet. When we come into sensation, it helps to clear the emotion. If we can not become attached to the emotion, we don't bind it within ourselves. Therefore, we're not defined by it. Therefore, if we become charged, we don't regress to a past experience. We become aware of sensation, and that allows us to just express in a very safe and inoffensive way, a way that serves us. So in a nutshell, that is what charge and discharging is all about. And basically, you are charging continuously throughout the day. But what happens is, through the act of growing up and learning how to survive, we basically numb out to the very subtle charges that occur and the ones that make a very big difference in our lives. When we become aware of those subtle charges, we can make change. We can unbind the emotional burden we've placed upon ourselves, the habits, the lack of, the disconnection, numbing. It all starts to make sense. And we can become more active in our own healing. Burden becomes a little bit less. Life becomes a little bit easier and free-flowing, because that's all life is. It's a reflection of the energy, right? Energy just wants to move all around us all the time. Energy just likes to flow. But what happens is when we suppress a charge, when we stop charge, we create a block. Through the act of movement, and especially stuff like bioenergetic movement, we help to just push that charge out of the body. We free up the mind, we free up the cells, we give ourselves space to communicate effectively with ourselves and others. So I hope that was explanatory. If you've got any questions, please do give me a shout. But loads of interesting stuff coming up with me online right now, so please do get in contact and look out for more. Have a nice evening.